So, hello there, and welcome back to yet another Night of the Movies podcast. And in these podcasts, I talk all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm talking about my excitement and my worries for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials coming out in less than a week now. But just before I do that, I should say what I say at the start of every podcast I do, which is, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, hello to my viewers, or if you prefer to listen to your podcast on Spotify, well, you're in luck, as you can listen to this podcast on Spotify as the Night of the Movies on that platform. And if you are already listening to me on Spotify, hello there to podcast listeners, then you can also check this podcast out visually on my YouTube channel at Night of the Movies on that platform as well. Likewise, wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, of course, and leave me with some feedback on things to improve on in future podcasts, because there's always things to improve on, and feedback is, as ever, much appreciated. Also, I should say today that I went swimming earlier today, early on the day that I'm recording this podcast, so my head is a bit fuzzy. You know, I've spoken about this on the channel in the past. Whenever I go swimming, I get this thing called fuzzy thinking, and it just affects the way it just affects the way I think when I'm doing certain things for the rest of the day, when I'm doing anything for the rest of the day, really. So I don't know how this podcast is going to turn out, but hopefully it's fine. I'm going to push through because I want to talk about this. I'm very excited to talk about this, but I'm just warning you, I have fuzzy thinking. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into the topic of discussion for today, and that is my excitement and worries for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials. So, as I've already mentioned, in less than a week, we will have the first of 3 Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials airing. Well, it would have already aired, in less than a week. Well, in less than a week, the first one airs, and in a week's time, it would have already aired. And I am very, very excited for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, because even so, I don't consider myself a Whovian. Is that what Doctor Who fans call themselves? Big Doctor Who fans. I don't consider myself a Whovian, but at the same time, I was a huge fan, and I still am a huge fan of David Tennant's Doctor Who, and I loved Matt Smith's first series as a Doctor as well. I think once you get into the second series of Matt Smith as Doctor, things start to fall apart, but that being said, there was a lot to like in the first series with Matt Smith as a Doctor, and I think he did a phenomenal job as a Doctor overall, and I absolutely adore the David Tennant era. And I should also say that I haven't really seen any of the early Doctor Who episodes, from the first to the 8th Doctor. I never really watched any of those episodes. I mean, I've seen parts of the Sylvester McCoy era, and I've seen parts of the Tom Baker era, and I've even seen part of, what was the first Doctor, was it William Hartnell? I've even seen parts of his era, but I just haven't seen full episodes, I've just seen bits of the episodes, and I actually quite enjoyed what I watched, but I've never sat down to really, I never sat down to watch and indulge myself into some of those old Doctor Who episodes, if you will. So, my introduction to Doctor Who was with the 9th Doctor, with Chris Eccleston, and I enjoyed him as a Doctor. I don't think he was great, because I didn't think he got enough time to shine, but I think Chris Eccleston is a good actor, and I think he's a great actor, actually, and I think he did a good job playing the Doctor, but I ultimately think that David Tennant came in and just outdid him. Miles and miles and miles ahead outdid, in my opinion. He just came in and he stole the show. And I still remember when David Tennant was a Doctor initially, was from like 2005 till 2010. I think that's when his run took place. I remember when his episodes were first airing, I would look forward to them every Saturday night. I'd be eagerly anticipating what the new adventure Doctor Who would go on today. Well, the new adventure that the Doctor would go on, and how exciting and thrilling and funny it would be. And I felt a bit of that with the Matt Smith era, and I'm not saying this is Matt Smith's fault, but I ultimately fell on that show. I ultimately gave up during, well, actually, that's a lie. I was about to say I gave up during the Matt Smith era. I actually gave up during the Peter Capaldi era. For me, the episodes just became too serious then, too slow, and I was missing that thrill of Doctor Who and that energy. And although I did give Jodie Whittaker's era of Doctor Who a go, and although I don't actually think she's a bad Doctor, I think she's actually a really good Doctor, and I liked that her era of Doctor Who had some energy, the writing was really poor and didn't have that same pull and that same narrative thrust that Russell T Davies had when he wrote Doctor Who, because Russell T Davies was a showrunner during the Christopher Eccleston era of Doctor Who and the David Tennant era of Doctor Who. He left when David Tennant left, and his era of Doctor Who has always been my favourite. I still rewatch episodes of David Tennant's Doctor Who one now, because of how much I enjoyed his era and how much I love the writing. Even the episodes which aren't, as well written as some. Like, I think one of the best episodes of Doctor Who period is The Waters of Mars. And then I think that The Runaway Bride is a very enjoyable episode, but doesn't have the same, quality of writing. Even when you get to The Runaway Bride, you don't really care about the writing so much, because the episode moves at such a pace, and it's like one big roller coaster that you just don't want to get off. It's so enjoyable, and every Christmas, I've still got to do that this Christmas actually, but every Christmas I look forward to rewatching The Runaway Bride. It's one of my favourite Doctor Who episodes ever, not because it's that well written, but because of how fun it is, and I've missed that from Doctor Who, and that's what Russell T Davies' era did so well, and that is why I'm excited for the 60th anniversary specials, and why I'm excited for the future of Doctor Who, because Russell T Davies is back. He is back to write Doctor Who. He's back as the showrunner, and as far as I know, he's written all 3 of the 60th anniversary specials. And I, for one, cannot wait to see the specials because of that. Because we have Russell T Davies coming back to write. I personally think he's the only showrunner in Doctor Who that's fully understood the show. I think Stephen Moffat did a good job writing certain episodes of Doctor Who. I think he did. Same with Chris Chibnall. Chris Chibnall came up with that episode during the Christopher Eccleston era, set in World War II. It was the first episode with Captain Jack, and it was "Are you my mommy?" and everyone was wearing the gas masks. That's quite an iconic episode of Doctor Who. And Chris Chibnall, who became the showrunner during the Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who, he wrote that episode, and I do think Chris Chibnall is a good writer. He wrote Broadchurch, and the first series of Broadchurch is masterful, and I think Stephen Moffat did a great job writing. And did he direct some of the episodes of Sherlock? I'm not entirely sure, but he did a great job writing Sherlock in the past. It's one of my favourite TV shows of all time, with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, and he wrote some very, very good episodes of Doctor Who. Some of the, like I've already mentioned, the first series of Matt Smith, great. And then you get into the Peter Capaldi episodes, and even though I didn't love Peter Capaldi, even though I didn't really like Peter Capaldi's era overall, it had Heaven's Sent, one of the best Doctor Who episodes ever during his era, and I'm pretty sure Stephen Moffat wrote that. And you also had this Christmas episode with Nick Frost as Santa during that era, and I'm pretty sure Stephen Moffat wrote that. And so I do think, Chris Chibnall and Stephen Moffat, who became showrunners on Doctor Who after Russell T Davies initially left, I do think they did a good job writing certain episodes, but I didn't think they did a great job showrunning Doctor Who overall, because what Russell T Davies did so well is he manages to balance drama, sci-fi, comedy, excitement and emotion, and so brilliantly in his writing. And I mean, there were so many episodes during his era of Doctor Who, during the David Tennant era of Doctor Who, which are just so well written and exciting, and have all this drama in them, which is constantly engrossing and compelling, but also have all these sci-fi elements which just fit naturally. The thing I always felt, and I don't know if this is how he wrote these episodes, but this is always how I felt he did write the episodes, was that Russell T Davies would write these great episodes, he would write these great drama episodes of Doctor Who, and then he would add the sci-fi things in later, but he'll make the sci-fi things feel natural, you know what I mean? So he would write these episodes of Doctor Who, and it's about these really interesting characters, and then you would add the sci-fi stuff in there. A big example of that for me is the Waters of Mars. I think it's near perfect, that episode of Doctor Who. I really think it is. And the thing is, the sci-fi stuff worked great in that episode. It really does. But the thing that always makes it so memorable for me is the storyline and the characters in that episode. And there's so many episodes like that during Russell T Davies' era. You know, I've made a list here of some of my favourite episodes during the Russell T Davies and David Tennant era of Doctor Who. Just here right now: Rise of the Cyberman, The Age of Steel, Army of the Ghosts, Doomsday, The Runaway Bride, which was Catherine Tate's first Doctor Who episode, Smith and Jones, Gridlock, Daleks in Manhattan, 42, Human Nature with the Family of Blood, Blink, Utopia with the Sound of the Drums, with The Last of the Time Lords, Voyage of the Damned, Partners in Crime, The Fires of Pompeii, Silence in the Library, which was the first episode that featured River Song, Midnight, The Stolen Earth with Journey's End, The Next Doctor, which is another fantastic Christmas episode of Doctor Who, which I can't wait to rewatch this Christmas, Planet of the Dead, The Waters of Mars, what he spoke about, one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who ever, and at the End of Time, and plenty of other very enjoyable episodes of Doctor Who were the ones that Russell Davies either wrote or oversaw. I think he did a perfect job showing Doctor Who when David Tennant was the Doctor. And that is why I'm very excited to see these 60th anniversary specials, because Russell Davies is writing and David Tennant's back. As we have seen by the trailers, if you watch the trailers, but if you haven't watched the trailers, you'd be very surprised if you didn't know David Tennant is returning as a Doctor 10 years later, 10 years after he did it in the 50th anniversary special. He returned as a Doctor in that special, and he's returning as a Doctor again here. And only is he returning as a Doctor, Catherine Tate is also returning as Donna Noble. I really liked a lot of the companions that I saw in Doctor Who. I thought Karen Gillan did a great job as Amy Pond before she became big with the MCU. I think the one who played Martha, if I've got her name off the top of my head right now, she did a really good job. And I think that Billie Piper did a really good job as Rose as well. But for me, the best companion was always Donna Noble. The best companion was always Donna Noble, because she was so funny and she added so much comedic relief, but at the same time though, she had an interesting backstory. You know, the characterization of Donna Noble was always very interesting to me, and I liked the way it was done. And you also, with her, you had the additions of her mother, and was it her father or was it her grandfather? I'm pretty sure it was her grandfather actually. But yeah, I haven't seen the episodes in a while, I should say, which is why I'm a bit fuzzy on some of the episode details and some of the details surrounding Donna Noble's character. But you had a mother, which I found a very interesting and very one of those characters which you think there's just one side to her, and then there's more to her than you realise. You know, Donna's mother. I always found her a very enjoyable character to watch. And they had Bernard Cribbins as her grandfather. I'm pretty sure it was a grandfather. Apologies if I'm wrong. Do correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, you had Bernard Cribbins during the Donna Noble era, who came with the Donna Noble character. You know, Bernard Cribbins' character came with Catherine Tate's Donna Noble, and I loved whenever Bernard Cribbins was in the show, and R.I.P. now because he sadly passed away. But there were some set photos of him on set filming some stuff for the 60th anniversary specials. I don't know if he is still in the specials. I've heard somewhere that he is, but he's just not in it as much as they were hoping he would be, because he did sadly pass away when they were filming. But the fact that we might get to see Bernard Cribbins back one more time in this era of Doctor Who with David Tennant and with Catherine Tate, is a very exciting prospect to me. Yeah, that really, really excites me. And I thought he was one of the best parts of the last season of David Tennant as a Doctor. I thought it was so good. And I thought Catherine Tate, as what he said, was the best Doctor Who companion. I thought she fit in the show brilliantly, and it's no surprise that her and David Tennant did a lot of stuff after they finished doing Doctor Who together. They continue to work together, and it's no surprise that they've come back together. I really don't think it's been any surprise, because I listened to a podcast that David Tennant does, and he did one with Catherine Tate. You can clearly tell that they have a very, very good bond, and I can't wait to see them back on screen together. That does lead, though, to the first of my worries for the 60th anniversary specials, and that's this. If people remember, when they left David Tennant's era of Doctor Who, basically, if I remember correctly, because again I haven't seen the episodes in a while, if I remember correctly, they left the era with saying this: if Donna Noble remembers anything about her time with the Doctor, her head will explode and she will die. That's how they left her character at the end of the David Tennant one of Doctor Who. And the fact that she's coming back, and the fact that we see her with the Doctor, you know, in many scenes with the Doctor in the trailers for the 6th anniversary specials, has me a bit worried that they're just going to undermine the end of the fate of Donna Noble, the original fate of Donna Noble. You know, it has me a bit worried that they're just going to undermine that and undermine her sacrifice and what she did to save the Doctor when you had the episodes where everybody came together. What were the episodes called now? Was it Journey's End? Yeah, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, when all the characters came together and Donna Noble stepped up and actually sacrificed herself to save the Doctor, from what I remember. You know, I feel like they're just going to undermine that, and, well, I'm hoping they don't, but my biggest worry is that they are going to undermine that because Donna Noble is back. And I'm hoping there's a really good reason why they have to be back together. Why David Tennant's Doctor has to come back has to once again team up with Donna Noble. I'm hoping there's a good reason, because with the way Russell T Davies left it during his era, the two couldn't really know that, the two couldn't know that they were each other, if you got what I mean. Like, Donna Noble couldn't know that he was the Doctor, couldn't know that David Tennant's character was the Doctor, so he had to make, you know, because you do get that one scene together between them in a kitchen, in Donna Noble's kitchen, towards the end of his run as a Doctor, and he says goodbye to her, but she didn't know who he is. And I'm hoping that them coming back together, there's a reason for that, and I'm hoping it doesn't undermine the end of David Tennant's run of Doctor Who, when what they did with Donna Noble, I did not expect, and it did make me... What they did with the character of Donna Noble, I didn't expect, and it was a very emotional send-off to their character, and I'm hoping now, somehow, they don't undermine that, but I am a bit worried that they're going to. I have all the faith in Russell T Davies, but I am a bit worried that they're going to undermine that, simply because they're coming back and they had the prospect to bring them back, because why not? It's David Tennant and Catherine Tate. Let's bring them back for the sake of it. I'm hoping there's a good story decision as to why she's back as well, because even so I've said this numerous times, I think Donna Noble, you know, Catherine Tate as Donna Noble is the best Doctor Who companion, period. I'm also wondering, why isn't it that Martha is back? Why isn't it that Billie Piper isn't back as Rose? I mean, they could be back in these episodes and we just don't know yet. That could be happening. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I know there's some rumours out there that Martha returns. That hasn't been confirmed. I would like it, but it hasn't been confirmed. But that all being said, why is it Donna Noble coming back? I also want to know that, and I'm a bit worried about the whole bringing back Donna Noble aspect. A part of me thinks that they're just doing it because they can. You know, because Russell T Davies is back as a show, and he thought, let's get the band back together. You know, it's like Blues Brothers. Let's get the band. We're getting the band back together on a mission from God. That's what it kind of feels like with them getting back together in the show. But that being said, I have all the faith in Russell T Davies. He's a fantastic writer. And one thing I haven't spoken about is not only did he do a fantastic job with the era of Doctor Who as a showrunner, but he also did such a good job writing It's a Sin. That is one of the best shows I've seen over the past 5 years. Let's say that, over the past 5 years. I think it came out during 2020. And that series was absolutely, oh my god, it was so heartbreaking and so phenomenal. If you haven't seen It to Sin, it's absolutely incredible. I can't recommend it enough. And he also wrote Years and Years, quite a few years back. I remember enjoying that show. I don't remember loving it as much as I've loved some of Woodsie Davis's other stuff. But that being said, I remember enjoying that show. And as Woody said as well, I have rewatched many episodes of David Tennant. Rewatched many episodes of David Tennant run as the Doctor, and I still love them. I still think they hold up well. Sure, some of the visual effects in those episodes aren't the best. I will admit, like there's one episode of Mark Gatiss during the David Tennant era. I think it's when you first see all of Martha's family, if I remember correctly. There's one episode, and there's this big CGI monster in it. Kind of. It's not, well, yeah, it's a big CGI monster, and I think that watching that episode now, I rewatched it last year, and it was a very weird experience because I was watching, I was quite enjoying the episode, and this big CGI monster comes on the screen. I'm like, okay, this clearly looks like it's something out of 2008, you know. This hasn't held up the best, but I think the writing has held up, especially considering some of the episodes we had after the David Tennant era Doctor when the writing was so poor. I mean, again, I think Jodie Whittaker was a good Doctor. I think she was really let down by her writing. I really think the writers during the Jodie Whittaker era Doctor Who did not do a good job. I mean, I hate to say that, but yeah, I mean, there was one episode of it era which I liked. Was it the Resolution of the Daleks, the first of the New Year specials? She did 2 New Year specials, Jodie Whittaker did as a Doctor, the first New Year special she did. I remember really enjoying. I didn't think it was brilliant or anything, but it was a lot of fun, and to stick on a New Year's Day, it made New Year's Day better. What was it? New Year's Day 2019. It made that New Year's Day better. But I also remember during the Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who, one of the big villains at the end of the episode turned out to be a frog. Just going to put that there. Turned out to be a frog. Not even a big frog. It was just a frog. It was like, why? Anyway, that's another topic for another day. I've already spoken about my opinion of Jodie Whittaker era Doctor Who. I liked her last episode. I will say that. I liked the Centenary special, which came out a year ago now, if I remember correctly. It was about a year ago now. I liked that episode. I will say that. I thought it was actually a pretty good finale for her. But I've already spoken about my opinion on the Jodie Whittaker era Doctor Who in the review I did on that about a year ago now. So yeah, I don't think Jodie Whittaker was the best, and I forgot the point I'm making now, but I think I was smart on the lines of this. I think Woodsie Davies is a great writer, and I can't wait to see him writing more episodes of Doctor Who with David Tennant and Catherine Tate returning, because that feels like a dream come true. And on top of that, we also have Murray Gold returning to score Doctor Who once again, returning to do the music for this show. And that has me very, very excited, because this won't be a big thing for many people, but Murray Gold, I think, was really the heart and soul of Doctor Who back in the day. I mean, the writing was very good. I've already spoken about that at length. The writing was very good during the David Tennant era, but the music was also so on point. You can listen to that music now, and it still holds up. It's still got all those ingredients and DNA of Doctor Who, and I think Murray Gold just convey that so well in his music. Like Martha's theme, for example, I think is a very interesting piece of music, because it tells you everything about her character, and at the same time it doesn't. And it's also a very interesting companion piece of music to go alongside the Doctor's theme during his era, during the David Tennant era. And I think the same as the Donna Noble theme. You can just listen to Donna's theme, composed by Murray Gold, and it perfectly encapsulates everything about the Donna Noble character. I was just listening to it actually before I did this podcast, and it's such a good piece of music. And there are so many instances like that, which in the Murray Gold scores for Doctor Who, which he just did an amazing job on. You know, he just did an amazing job musically scoring the David Tennant era of Doctor Who, and also the Matt Smith era and the Peter Capaldi eras. Although I must admit, because I didn't watch because I didn't watch, because I fell off Doctor Who during the Matt Smith era, I didn't listen to the music as much, but I thought that, from what I remember, a lot of the music during both of those eras, which Murray Gold composed, I still think they did it, I still think they had a lot of great music. God, I'm tired right now. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know how much sense I'm making whilst doing this podcast because my head is spinning after swimming early today. But still, nonetheless, going back into what I was saying, I still think the Matt Smith era and Peak Capaldi eras of Doctor Who had some very good music, but I think the David Tennant era of Doctor Who had the best music. I just think the music for that era is perfection, and the fact that we have Murray Gold returning to score more Doctor Who has me very, very excited, has me eagerly anticipating what he's going to do, because I'm wondering if we're going to hear more of the 10th Doctor's theme again, or whether David Tennant's 14th Doctor is going to have a new theme with these specials, because although David Tennant is returning as the Doctor, again, that's been highly publicised. I'd be surprised if people didn't realise already, because even so David Tennant is returning as the Doctor, he is not returning as a 10th Doctor like he did in the 50th anniversary special. No, he is returning, well, he's not returning actually, he's now playing the 14th Doctor, which I must admit I'm worried about. I'm worried why Rusty Davies, and again, I have all the faith in the world in Rusty Davies. He's one of my favourite writers in TV nowadays. I think he's just brilliant. But why do we have David Tennant returning to play the 14th Doctor? Why is he playing the 14th Doctor? And why isn't he playing the 10th Doctor in these specials? Why did you have to play a different incarnation of the Doctor? Now, we haven't seen the specials, as I'm recording this podcast today. I haven't seen the specials yet. Maybe there's a very good reason, and I do think there will be. But why is it the 14th Doctor, though? I mean, part of me is excited to learn why David Tennant is now playing the 14th Doctor, but a part of me is also a bit like, but can't he just return to 10th like he did in the 50th anniversary specials? It's just a new Doctor. But at the same time, I just watched the trailer before doing this podcast today. I just rewatched the trailer for the 60th anniversary specials. And in the trailer, David Tennant's Doctor is referencing things he's done with Catherine Tate's Donna Noble in the past. So he still has the same memories as the 10th Doctor. But then I suppose all the Doctors have the same memories from what I remember. So I don't know. Maybe it's the same Doctor. Is it the same Doctor? I'm not really sure, and I'm a bit worried about that. The fact that Rusty Davies is calling the 14th Doctor because David Tennant looks a bit older now. I mean, David Tennant still looks great. I mean, it's a pipe dream to look as good as David Tennant does. He's one of my favourite actors working, he's one of my favourite actors ever, really, David Tennant is. I just watched The Escape Artist on Prime Video. Side note here, I just watched The Escape Artist on Prime Video, and he was so good in that. And it got me more excited to see him return as a Doctor. So yeah, can't wait to see David Tennant return. Love him as a Doctor. But why is it the 14th Doctor? It feels like they're doing that for the sake of maybe adding in another plotline because they feel they need to. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm just theorising here, and I'm just really talking out my ass because we haven't seen these specials yet. We don't know what's in these specials, and maybe there is a very good reason as to why David Tennant is now playing the 14th Doctor. But I don't know. I am wondering why. And that's my other big worry. I mean, I'm worried that David Tennant's not just playing the 10th Doctor, especially I'm worried that he's playing the 14th Doctor. I'm worried why they've done that. And I'm also worried that these episodes are going to have too much going on, or they're not going to have enough going on in them. I'm worried that these episodes are going to be too convoluted and be trying to do too much because we're having a new villain in these episodes. I know there's some Whovians out there, I think that's what they're called, avid Doctor Who fans who already know Neil Patrick Harris's villain, the Toy Maker, already know who he is, but the average viewer don't. The average viewer doesn't know who the Time Maker is. I don't know who the Time Maker is, so I'm waiting to be introduced in these episodes. I'm waiting to be introduced in the first of the 60th anniversary specials, actually, who the Time Maker actually is. And the episodes have to do that. And we also keep getting teased that the 15th Doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa, and great casting, well, I hope it'd be great casting anyway, because he's so good in Sex Education, and he was great in Barbie as well. We also know that Ncuti Gatwa, playing the 15th Doctor, is going to be introduced in the 60th anniversary specials. But a part of me thinks that maybe they're trying to do too much, because we also see all these other things going on in the trailer for the 60th anniversary specials. We see that Unit now has this new building, which is basically Avengers Tower. That's what it looks like. And at the same time, there's seems to be this really weird alien creature, which apparently is voiced by Miriam Margolyes, which is great, by the way. I love the fact that Miriam Margolyes is voicing that weird alien creature, but there seems to be a lot going on in the trailers. And a part of me is excited about all that, because it means that it could be, if all the plot lines work, it could be very exciting and thrilling, you know, kind of like Stolen Earth and Journey's End were, because there are all these storylines going on, all these plot lines, and they all came together so well. And so part of me is excited about that, but a part of me is also a bit worried that it's going to be a bit too convoluted and a bit too complex for Doctor Who standard. You know, that was one of my issues with the Peter Capaldi era. There was some episode where I just sat there going, I'm sorry, you've lost me. You just completely lost me, you know, because I think Steve Moffat was trying to outright himself during that era. And I'm hoping that the same thing doesn't happen here, you know, with Russell Davies, when he tries to make it too complicated because he wants to make it proper sci-fi, when in the end, all you really need is a good story and some good characters. That being said, I want the surprises, and I am worried that maybe we might not get the surprises, because the trailers haven't really hinted at them. Saying that, I don't want the trailers to give away everything. I'm not saying that. I hate when you get some trailers which basically give away the whole movie. I really despise that, when a trailer gives away the whole movie. So, don't be wrong, I'm not waiting. I don't want the trailers to give away any possible surprises in these 6th anniversary specials. But at the same time, if there are surprises, they've done a good job keeping them under wraps, because I haven't heard any rumours, and I don't look into Doctor Who rumours too much, but still, I haven't heard any rumours about certain surprises, and I haven't really heard. I'm a bit worried that we're not gonna, that Russell Davies might not pull out all the stops with the surprises, with certain characters potentially returning. Like, personally, I want to see Matt Smith return as a Doctor. But there's been no hinting at that whatsoever in all the marketing for these 6th anniversary specials. And that might just be because they're trying to keep it all a big surprise. And I really hope that's the reason. Because, although, I've already mentioned this, although I didn't love Matt Smith era Doctor Who, I love Matt Smith as a Doctor. And I think he's such a good actor. I love him as Prince Philip in the first 2 seasons of The Crown. He was the best part of Morbius, which was shockingly bad. He was brilliant in Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. And I just think he's such a great actor. There's things he's in which I'm forgetting off the top of my head right now, which I really enjoyed him as well. But the point I'm making is, he's such a good actor, and I really wanted him to return as a Doctor with Russell T Davies writing. And I do know that a couple of months back, Matt Smith was at a Comic-Con, and somebody asked him, are you in the 6th anniversary specials? And he said he's not. I don't count that as him saying I don't count that as a definite no, because lest we forget, before Spider-Man No Way Home came out in 2021, it was Christmas 2021 that film came out, Andrew Garfield denied about 1,000 times that he was involved in that film. And spoiler here, in case you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, and for some reason you live under a rock, Andrew Garfield returned as Spider-Man in that film. He was just lying. And a part of me thinks that's what Matt Smith is doing here. I think Matt Smith is even friends with Andrew Garfield, so it wouldn't surprise me if they gave a call and was like, hey, Andrew, they're asking me if I'm returning Doctor Who. How do you lie? You just lie. You know, I did it for Spider-Man. Do it yourself. You know, a part of me thinks that might be happening. And Also, apparently when people ask questions like that, like, is this character returning for this film? And the actor says no, but actually they are returning, they're not going to say yes because they're not going to reveal a surprise. The amount of times I was thinking that when I saw Andrew Garfield saying no to Spider-Man No Way Home return, I was like, he's not going to say yes even if he's in the film, because clearly the people behind Spider-Man No Way Home want to make his return a surprise, you know. It's like, I remember Liam Neeson being asked, are you returning as Qui-Gon in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show? And he goes, no, I'm not. And then he does. Spoiler there, can't see no one, but he did return in the very last scene of that show. But he's not going to say he is, because it ruins the surprise. It just annoys when some people ask, and they're like, the actor's not going to say yes, because it ruins the surprise. He's obviously just going to say no. So, the fact that Matt Smith said he's not involved in the 60th anniversary specials at a Comic-Con a couple of months ago doesn't make me think he definitely isn't involved. Let's just say that. I actually think there's a good chance he is. And they're just keeping it a huge secret. I think there's a good chance of that, because when Matt Smith was doing press for Morbius last year, somebody asked him in the press tour, would he do another Morbius or would he return to Doctor Who? I saw this on an interview and he said, you know, not waiting a heartbeat, he jumped in and went, Doctor Who. He didn't even hesitate. He didn't even say Morbius 2, even so he's promoting Morbius, although who can blame him? Who would want to return for Morbius 2? But anyway, you know, he didn't hesitate, and he just said, I'd much rather return to Doctor Who, because he said something like, Doctor Who is so cool. You know, I can't do a Matt Smith impression, but that's what he said, and that's why I really think there's a good chance of him returning, but they're just keeping it under wraps. And I think if he wasn't returning in these specials, he would have returned in the Century specials, which came out, the Century special, which came out about a year ago now, when all the other Doctors came back. You know, when all those other, much older Doctors came back in that special. I think if he wasn't returning in these specials, he would have been in that. Although, saying that, Matt Smith is a busy actor. He's got about a million things going on. He's filming House of the Dragon Season 2. Or House of the Dragon Season 3 now, whichever season they're on and that, you know, because I've already heard they've wrapped Season 2, but they might be going into production on Season 3 really quickly. I don't know. And he's got a new film coming out soon, and God knows what he's got coming up, because he is a busy actor, so maybe he just didn't have time to come to set to play the Doctor again. That being said, David Tennant's also a very busy actor, so I don't know. Maybe he's coming back, maybe he isn't, but there's been no hinting at that in the trailers, and I'm hoping that there is a lot of surprises in store. I do remember David Tennant said a good couple of months ago now that he was actually filming with a lot of famous actors on sets of these Doctor Who 6th anniversary specials, but he couldn't say who they were because they were filming on set. The reason he had to say that he was back as a Doctor was because they were filming it outside. Same with why they had to say that Catherine Tate was back as Donna Noble, and why they had to say that Neil Patrick Harris was involved in these specials, because they were filming outside and set photos and whatnot. So that's why they said that he was returning, but he has said that there were more surprises and more actors coming back that people just don't know about. And, right, here's my out of left field theory. Here's my wild theory about who's coming back. One character in particular. Here's what I'm going to say. Johnson as the Master. He was the Master during the David Tennant era Doctor. I'm pretty sure he returned in one episode of the Peter Capaldi era, although I never saw that episode. But I think there's a good chance we see him back in these 6th anniversary specials. We probably don't, but that's my wild theory as to a character who is coming back who's going to be a big surprise. But we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But yeah, I'm both worried that these episodes are going to have too much going on, and that some plot lines are going to be vastly more compelling and more engaging than other plot lines. And at the same time, I'm also worried that these episodes aren't going to pull out all the stops. You know, I'm a bit worried about both things. But saying that, I think we'll see Davies again, I have all the faith in the world in him, and I think he's going to do such a great job. And I really just hope that these episodes are great, because the trailers look so good. And this is our introduction, as far as I know, to Ncuti Gatwa as a doctor. And apologies for mispronouncing his name there. But Ncuti Gatwa, if you haven't seen Sex Education, he's so good in that. He plays Eric, the best character in Sex Education, and he was great in Barbie, and I can't wait to see him as a doctor. I really can't wait to see him as a doctor. And we're having his introduction in those specials, and Neil Patrick Harris seems like he's chewing up scenery and having the time of his life playing the toy maker. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how good his performance is, but from the trailers alone, I will say he's hooked me, and I think that Neil Patrick Harris is going to be great in these episodes, and I think that Ncuti Gatwa is going to be great in these episodes, and I can't wait to see their introductions, and it looks like we're getting some other new characters, and the fact now that Disney are also involved in Doctor Who, Disney have actually funded some of these episodes, and you can see in the trailers, the production quality is much higher than it used to be with Doctor Who. Then we're used to seeing it with Doctor Who. The special effects look a lot better. Some of the CGI in the trailer looks really good. Looks like the sort of CGI you see in something like a Star Wars Disney Plus show, or a Marvel Disney Plus show, or something along those lines. And that whole has me very excited as well. The fact that Disney are now funding this, and the fact that because of that, we may be getting a new audience. New people might be introduced to Doctor Who because it's going to be on Disney platforms. It's going to be on Disney Plus, I think. I'd be surprised if it isn't, because Disney are now involved with the funding of this show and are now producing it. It's something like that. I haven't really read into it too much, but I know that Disney are involved in the 6th anniversary specials and are involved in Ncuti Gatwa's run of the Doctor for however long that goes on for. And I do think that is a good thing. I mean, we'll have to wait and see for certain, but I do think it's a good thing that Disney are involved in these specials, and I think these specials are gonna be great. I really think they're gonna be great. And I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, so I'm hoping they're great. I mean, I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan, but I'm a fan of the David Tennant era Doctor Who and the first series of Matt Smith as the Doctor. I'm a fan of those series, and that's why I hope these specials are gonna be great. I'm hoping these specials pull out all the stops, because I want my love of Doctor Who to be reignited. I think Doctor Who needs, and I mean this in the best way possible, I think it needs a reboot. And from what I'm hearing, this is kind of going to be the reboot for Doctor Who. I've heard some reports saying that Ncuti Gatwa's first series as a Doctor is going to be called Series 1, which I think is a very interesting way to go with the series. And maybe that's going to work, maybe it wasn't, and I'm not really sure why they made the decision, but again, total faith in Rusty Davies, who was returning as a showrunner for Ncuti Gatwa's return, for Ncuti Gatwa's run, should I say, as the Doctor. And I forgot the point I was making there, but I was trying to say that I'm just hoping, that's it, I remembered, I'm hoping that these 60th anniversary specials reignite my love of Doctor Who, because I have missed loving Doctor Who. I've missed enjoying Doctor Who. I didn't really enjoy the Jodie Whittaker's era, I didn't really enjoy Peter Capaldi's era, and I fell off the Matt Smith era, which was a huge shame, because I loved his first series so much, and I want to love Doctor Who again, and I'm really hoping Rusty Davies is going to make me love the show again. I'm hoping the 6th anniversary special is going to do that, and I'm hoping that Ncuti's next series will do that as well. Fingers crossed. I have all the faith in the world in Rusty Davies. I've already said about 5 times in this podcast, maybe more today. I really hope that these specials are going to be great. I'm hoping they're exciting. I can't speak. I'm at that point now in the podcast where I'm just so out of it, but I'm hoping they're going to be exciting, thrilling, emotional, be bombastic, and just be crazy good. That's what I'm hoping they're going to be. Fingers crossed they are. And I'm also, and this isn't really to do with the 6th anniversary specials, but I'm going to mention it anyway, I'm very, very excited that we're getting another Doctor Who Christmas special this year. We haven't had a Doctor Who Christmas special since the end of the Peter Capaldi year. And Peter Capaldi's last episode was a Christmas special, and I just think it's absolutely awful. I remember watching that on Christmas Day and being so utterly disappointed and underwhelmed by that last episode. It was just so dull. And I can't wait to see another Doctor Who Christmas episode, because regardless whether it's good or not, I don't know. it just makes Christmas feel more like Christmas, because I've got so many fond memories watching episodes like The Runaway Bride and The Next Doctor and around Christmas, and just having such a good time doing so. And I love the fact that Doctor Who is bringing Christmas specials back, because it didn't during the Jodie Whittaker era. It was New Year specials. Now we'll see Davies coming and going, no, I'm bringing Christmas specials back, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do with that. But back onto the 60th anniversary specials, I have my worries, sure. And am I concerned with certain decisions that are being made about the series? Sure. Am I concerned with the way certain things are looking in the trailer? Sure. That all being said, in my opinion, the trailers still look brilliant, and I still think the 60th anniversary special is going to be great, and I'm so excited to see them. I am deliriously excited to see these specials. I really am. I can't wait to see them, and I think they're going to be so good. I'm just hoping more than anything that these specials reignite my love of Doctor Who overall. And I'm hoping my expectations don't get the better of me. That's the last thing I'm going to say. I'm hoping my expectations don't get the better of me, because I remember I had very high expectations going into the 50th anniversary special, and I ended up being disappointed by that. I don't hate the 50th anniversary special at all, but I do feel disappointed after I saw it the first time. I'm hoping the same thing doesn't happen with the 60th anniversary specials. And I'm glad that I'm saying specials, by the way, because it's 3 episodes. I love the fact that they're doing 3 episodes for the 60th anniversary. That's great in my opinion. Anyway, you get the point. I'm very excited for these specials. I'm also worried, but I have all the faith in the world that Rusty Davies is going to restore my love of Doctor Who. I really hope it is. Anyway, guys, that is the podcast for today. Man alive, am I tired saying that. It's been a long podcast. Let's see how long it's gone on for. It's almost gone on for 50 minutes. Man alive. So I'm going to round things up by saying thank you for watching or listening to the podcast, and let me know about your excitement and your worries for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials. Maybe you aren't really interested in them, or maybe you are very, very excited in them like I am. Whatever your thoughts are and your anticipation for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this podcast. I look forward to many more podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. I just realised when I started recording this podcast, it was light outside. Now it's almost dark. Now it's getting to being pitch black outside. That's how long this podcast has gone on for. Man alive, I ramble. Anyway, guys, as I've already said, thank you as always for watching or listening to the podcast. And I suppose this is it. Yes, we got there in the end. I suppose this is it. So I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.